Hi everyone, Yoli Inch here, and it's Purposefun Friday. Yoo-hoo! So, as change agents, we want to make a greater impact in this world, don't we? And at Change Agent Academy, we believe a way to do that is to gain a better understanding of yourself and your strengths. And now, one way in which we like to do that is using your personality and finding out more about your personality through a profile tool. One profile tool that we like to use is 16 personalities, and I'll talk more about that today. Another one we also like to use is VIA character strengths, but we won't be talking about that one today. Both of them are free, so that's great news, isn't it? And they've got a lot of background in terms of how the questionnaire was designed and developed. So they're really, really useful tools. So when we talk about personality, we mean what is the way in which you think, feel, and behave. And with 16 personalities, they come up with 5 spectrums in which they choose ends of the spectrums. And and so I'll just go through what those 5 spectrums are, and you'll find out a bit more about what the traits are within each of those spectrums. I'll use my profile as an example. So when I did the 16 personalities, and I've also done this previously as well, I found out that I was an ENFP-T, and I'll show you what that means in a moment, and that's a campaigner. So let's have a look at that. And here are the 5 spectrums. So the first spectrum is the mind, and the mind is how you interact with the world around you. And mine was E, which means extrovert. So I'm an extrovert, and I tend to love being a part of a group and group activities. And as an extrovert, I tend to be excited, which is definitely me. Now, the opposite to an extrovert on the other end of the spectrum is someone who is introverted. Now, an introvert tends to not be into so many group activities. They tend to like their own time. And they sometimes can get impacted by too much stimulus around them. Now, of course, in my resource, there'll be a bit more information on this. So those are the different types of traits. Now, these are your tendencies. The thing to remember about the traits of the 5 spectrums and 16 personalities is that they tend to be a guide rather than a rule. So next, let's look at the next one, which is energy. And the energy is how you work through information. So for me, I am intuitive. Now, an intuitive tends to see the big picture and see lots of possibilities and tends to be related to the future more than the present. Whereas the other side of the spectrum, that's observing, and that's sort of written sort of like that, observing. And the observing person is someone who tends to be more realistic and pragmatic and definitely relates to the present. Now, the next is nature, and this is how you make decisions. So with nature, this is where in my profile, I tend to be more feeling. Now, a feeling person tends to consider the feelings of the people whom which they're interacting with. And they tend to actually be a little bit more emotional. The other side of the spectrum then is the thinking person. They tend to be more task-orientated and more logistical. Now, for me, I was fairly balanced between the feeling and the thinking. Whereas in the intuitive, I was a lot more intuitive than I was observing. Now let's get to the tactics. So the tactics is the way in which you approach your work. So for me, I am prospecting. Now, a prospecting person tends to be somebody who is open to possibility, can be okay with change, and looks at opportunities and tries to find them. Whereas the other side, judging person, tends to be much more organized, and they tend to like to plan things out. Now, for me, I was fairly balanced with prospecting and judging, but a bit more into the prospecting area. Now, the last one is identity, how confident you are in yourself. For me, I was turbulent. Now, a turbulent person is somebody who's not so self-assured, is always striving to be better and wants to improve things. So, yes, that tends to be me, where the other side of that is assured. Someone assured who's self-assured in themselves, a bit more laid back than a turbulent personality. So these are the 5 spectrums and the different acronyms. Now, each of the acronyms as a combination make up 16 personality types using these traits. So when you go to the website, which is www.16personalities.com, I recommend that you actually do the questionnaire and learn about your own personality type. So you'll receive the information, and I'd like you to be able to record that information and go into greater depth by reading more about your personality type on the website, and have a look at the other personality types so you can see similarities and differences. Now, for me, I've been using my personality type for a very long time in my work. And a really good example of that was when I was managing the Duke of Edinburgh's Award long time ago. I was the executive officer, and my assistant, Steph, was the executive assistant, and we worked from our strengths. Unbelievably, we were able to create so much opportunity for more young people to get involved with the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, which is a youth development program. And we're able to grow the number of young people. We're able to grow the number of volunteers and organisations, and to get more award committees able to help promote the program locally. So we're able to work at a much greater rate because we worked from our strengths. And when we employed more people, we made sure that we introduced their strengths to our team, so we all worked synergistically. So, for example, Steph was more a sensing, judging, feeling person. So as a sensing, judging person, she was really great with logistics, being really present in the everyday and managing the office and making sure things ran quickly and smoothly to time. Whereas being an intuitive feeling person, I tended to look at the bigger picture and to strategically plan into the future, and to identify where the gaps were and what was available for young people and the volunteers. So, for example, I actually discovered that more young people needed to learn how to run expeditions for the expedition section of the program. So I designed and developed an expedition leadership training program with Kathy, who's also a fellow expedition leader. And we're able to train the volunteers in how to educate the young people how to actually design and deliver their own expedition, so that they could actually work together with their fellow friends, their fellow candidates doing the Duke's Award, and get out there safely and confidently in the world doing expeditions. So it was a really great example of how I was able to use my strengths to improve the program and make it more available for young people and volunteers. Now, I recommend not only you do your own 16 personalities, but I recommend that the people that you work with also do the questionnaire. Because when I've run workshops in how to understand each other's personalities and how the personalities work together as a team, and how you can use the different strengths in different parts of the work that you do in your organization, People have had such amazing aha moments where they've gained a greater understanding of each other. So I really recommend all of you do your 16 personalities and have a look in the information below and find out where the resource is, because I've created a resource for you and we've uploaded it onto our G Drive. So download it and read through it in a little bit more depth to understand the different types of traits. Because I know that when you have a better understanding of yourself and your strengths and the people around you, you will make a greater impact in the world because you're already doing amazing things. So enjoy your personality as much as I enjoy mine, and you'll find that you'll just grow in yourself and the way you work with the world. Okay, see you next time. Bye.